Yeah, 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 yeah. Living in Babylon, huh? Stay safe though, you know what I mean? Yeah, stay safe, straight up, straight up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All my niggas with me. You know we rollin'. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bitch, don't nothing come free. Pay me what you owe me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All my niggas with me. You know we rollin'. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bitch, don't nothing come free. Pay me what you owe me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. These niggas full of buffoonery. Try me, they gon' read your eulogy. Gemini, you know it's two of me. Niggas don't know what to do with me. Alien, I feel immortalized. Only protected, we fortified. Nigga, you die, play with Mordecai. Lay in the ditch if you play with me. So F the Minnesota Vikings coaches. I want to see them boys win. At this point, we pretty much know who KOC is as a head coach. We've seen his character or lack of character at times with the whole JJ McCarthy situation, the whole QB battle, etc. We know he's been pretty much full of shit, a glib speaker, great liar, should damn near be a politician. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. Now, it's nothing against KOC. I don't want to see him fail because if he fails, the Vikings fail. And all it's really about at this point is seeing them boys win. And I'm talking about the players strictly. You understand me? That's what it's about at this point in time. I remember during the last part of the Zimmer era, when it was questions about Zimmer getting fired or not, should he be gone or not. One time I said the Vikings are like a high school team with great talent but horrible coaching. See, we've seen horrible coaching for the Vikings for years now, except one, Brian Flores. Can he get better? Of course, but we talk about consistency, great coaching on a consistent basis with the lack of talent at times. You talk about Brian Flores, But when I say F the coaches, I don't want to see them, do bad or perform horribly. But I could care less for real. What I really want to care about seeing is them boys win, Jettas, players like Addison, right? JJ McCarthy, of course, even Kyler Murray since he's on the squad now, Kristen Darasaw, even Soft Hawkinson, the whole squad, the whole roster. Byron Murphy Jr., Isaiah Rodgers, Jalen Redmond, etc. Point blank period, them boys been working hard for years, grinding for years, putting in blood, sweat, and tears for years, man. And you say, what has held them back thus far? Yeah, people can go to last year and say the quarterback situation. Say whatever you want to say about the quarterback situation, but we know deep down KOC was the main culprit. He was the factor, even from the way he handled JJ McCarthy. So we know what's really going on. And other factors play a role. You can talk about O-line play, horrible O-line play at times, etc. But this team, them boys, is overdue for at least a playoff run, at least a playoff win. All the talent in the room, all the talent on the roster. I mean, have coaches really been leading by example anyway? You had one coach drinking and driving out on the town 2 days before the game, right? Obviously, he wasn't focused on football, etc. I just heard there's another situation with Deshaun Jones. I'm gonna get into that after a while. But Deshaun Jones looking at being suspended for 3 games because of substance abuse. But them boys been putting that work in. Playoff wins are overdue. The way certain situations have been handled, dead wrong. But when you talk about a team and team unity and team chemistry and a brotherhood, you feel like you have a brotherhood in the building right now. So I could care less about the coaches once again. Of course, you wish them the best as well. You wish them no harm, but it's about the players, man, at this point. It's about seeing the players win, seeing their hard work pay off. And all that won't matter if your head coach is trash once again, right? Right. But the time has come. Talent all on paper. Roster is filled with talent, older talent, younger talent, etc. But they're going to have to come together at the end of the day. Forget what the coaches is doing or talking about. I guarantee there's players in the room, in the building, who not cool with the situation with McCarthy, but will they say it? Hell no, because they can't. Some things you can't say, some things you can't speak on. But I'm sure not everybody agrees with the whole Kyler Murray decision with being QB1. I'm sure it's even players in there looking at KOC sideways a little bit. You hear? Wish they would, and they have every right to. But the players gonna have to come together this year like never before, stick together this year like never before. You know, they really run the team. They have to make sure their execution is flawless. Their communication is perfect, damn near. They hold each other accountable, man. Because we've seen thus far, yeah, only certain people, certain players have been held accountable. So they must make sure everybody is being held accountable amongst them. Don't rely on the coaches. Don't depend on the coaches. Players take control of the team, of the locker room, etc. Captains step up. Leaders step up. You know, how bad do y'all want to win? I know they got to be tired, fed up with being average, mediocre. I know they got to be tired with just making the playoffs and exiting out first round. So it's time to take it to a whole new level. But bottom line is, it's about seeing them players win, man. Host that trophy up, that Lombardi trophy up. That's the main goal, the ultimate goal, right? You know, how good would it feel? How great would it be to see smiles on their faces? Make history with this group, with that roster. Boys who really been putting it on the line for years, working hard to reach a certain goal for years. And we know the biggest thing that has held them back is coaching on the offensive side of the ball, especially. But it's time for them boys to really come together, really unite as one. This is the year to start it. The time is now. They deserve to win. They deserve to win. You know it. I know it. But you think about how many years it's been, all the close games, hard fought battles, losses, wins, etc., big plays, different personnel, different players coming through the building. Now you finally starting to see this roster come around, finally starting to see a potentially Super Bowl caliber team being built with the addition of Nolan Bain Teasley, great hire. Keith Carter, great hire. Now they got to put it all together on the field, man. They've been getting disrespected for how long? For years. The media disrespect them. Analysts disrespect them. Other NFL teams disrespect them. So the question is, when do they go take respect and make them respect it? Like the great Nick Saban used to say, don't fall for the rat poison. Shit, the Vikings have heard a lot of rat poison, still hearing rat poison right now. But the core of this team, what is it? What are they really about? I think it's a lot of winners, a lot of champions in the building, a lot of dogs in the building, man. Dog, sharpen dog, matter of fact. So I could care less what a coach say, what a coach do. Yes, we know coaching is the most important part of a team, but at the end of the day, it's about them boys winning a championship or really experiencing a winning season. You know, I mean, a lot of them come from winning teams, a winning pedigree. You know, Jetta's played at LSU, Joe Burrow, national champion, so he knows what it looks like to really win, what it takes to really win, right? And just for the players who've been loyal, remain loyal through the thick and thin of things. Jetta's never cried, hasn't cried one time, never demanded a trade, not one time. You know, even Addison, the trouble he's been in, he could have said, "Hey, I'm ready to get up out of Minnesota. Time for a change, different scenery, etc." The way fans was talking about him crazy, media talking about him crazy, trade him, this and that, but he stuck to it, stuck with his brothers. You know, yeah, stuck real close with his brothers, man. Oh yeah, but it's time for them boys to win. Why not them? Why not the Vikings? Care nothing about what no coaching staff talking about at this point. You know, KOC, especially KOC, has showed me enough about him, his word, his integrity, his character per se, the way he's handled this whole McCarthy situation. We know what he's doing, trying to save his ass, but he's going about it the wrong way. On top of that, he goes back and says, yeah, my quarterback can't see over the line. He may be too short. Hmm. So how much does he really care about his players, man? Them boys winning, man, type shit. Just some questions you may ask, you must ask, right? You know it, I know it. But at the end of the day, this is a playoff team, man. It's time for them to tap in with each other, be locked in with each other, man, on a consistent week to week basis. Fighting Irish in the building. What up, brother? SKOL Vikes. Here we go. Let's get it. He said, "Hey yo, let's go, Minnesota Vikings." No doubt, for real, SKOL Vikes. B flow is good. Definitely, man. B flow is great. Matter of fact, fighting Irish, no doubt. I'm gonna get into the B flow presser in a minute as well. Break that down. Got a couple articles to get into today. Deshaun Jones. Then we're gonna talk about the QB2 situation. Some more news coming out of Minnesota, the way they've been handling reps, etc. We're gonna break that down. A little shorter live tonight, but we're gonna get to the business for sure. The important parts of it for sure, man. No cap. But you talk about a team that's been together going on 4 years now, 5 years now, some of them, who all have the same goal, is which is winning a Super Bowl. Shit, you ask yourself, how long until they reach that goal? Do they got the players in the room to do it? And I would have to say, hell yeah. No, certain things have to pan out. The O line must be better all around, right? Every part of the team, both sides of the ball, must be better all around, especially in certain situations. But if we talk about chemistry and cohesion and belief and trust in each other, the Vikings players should have all that in each other, no doubt. It should be no second guessing anything. Yeah, we should see them be at a point on the field to where they're just playing football, reacting, not overthinking things, doing their job, playing their assignments, understanding their assignments, and just playing ball, having fun, and winning, of course. It's to the point where everybody should understand what they're doing and be able to go out there and execute at the highest level. That's where we should be at right now with the Vikings. We talk about windows and Super Bowl windows, this and that. Shit, how far is their window? Are they in the window right now? With the talent on this squad, they should be in the window right now. You understand me? So that's the main thing of this live for real, brother. It's time for them boys to win, period. You know? Go take respect, because the NFL ain't gonna give it to you. Your peers ain't gonna give it to you, right? Other coaches ain't gonna give it to you. Hell, they always talking crazy about the Vikings. Always got something slick to say about the Vikings. Of course, everybody want to hype them up because Murray in the building. Because the Vikings are a hot topic right now, per se. But at the end of the day, yeah, we know what's going on. You know it. I know it. They're either waiting to hop off or hop on the Vikings nuts, like we see every year from the likes of Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, every analyst on ESPN, Minnesota Vikings media, etc. The list goes on. But what matters most is what they feel, how they feel in the building on the inside, right? Can they trust the man, the brother they go into war with every Sunday, Monday, whatever? You know? What's going on the interior? Fuck the exterior. It don't matter. All the talking, the doubters, the haters, even believers, etc. It don't matter. What's going on the inside in the building? When times get tough, games get hard, attrition sets in, fatigue sets in, can they push each other? Can they still play hard together for each other, period? Can they play hard for themselves, man? Can they put it on the line for their brother right next to them? That's what matters most right there. Lamont in the building, Lamont in the building. What up, brother? SKOL VIKES. Here we go, man. Let's work. So I'm going to dive into this article. First up, we're going to break down Deshaun Jones. Then I'm going to move into the QB2 situations. Feels like some fishy players going on there with the number of reps, etc. Then we're going to tap into Brian Flores, see what he had to say in his presser, I believe, today. As we all know, the last preseason game is this week. First, the Broncos, I believe. So may not be too exciting, but it's good to see. One final preseason game. It's a night game at that. So should be very interesting. Just good to see football is back again. So boom, let's get to it. Give me 1 second here right quick. Here we go. Make sure if you come in the chat, you fire the chat up, like the chat up as well. Takes less than 1 second. Why not? Support the grind, support the channel. Here we go, man. So we got here. Vikings Deshaun Jones suspended 3 games for violating NFL substance abuse policy. Jones may participate in the remainder of the preseason before beginning his suspension on August 30th. So that's good news for him that he can remain and play and finish the preseason strong, hopefully, because he's still fighting for a roster spot. Nothing is guaranteed for him. He's had a pretty solid training camp, had some nice catches here and there during the preseason, but he still has a lot to prove. The wide receiver room has a lot of talent in the building, and you throw Dejon Bell in there, you throw Ty Felton in there. Who else? Number 19, can't recall his name right now. Then you throw Deshaun Jones in the mix. Oh yeah, this was something You don't want to be a distraction, right? You don't want to be a problem, definitely. And we've seen issues with this whole drinking fiasco in Minnesota for years now, going on years now, really back to back. You saw it with a coach, Wes Phillips. You saw Jordan Addison be in and out of trouble, his DUI, DWI, whatever. You just saw another situation recently with your corner defensive backs coach. So what's really going on in Minnesota around yonder? Why are these players and coaches falling heavy to the bottle, getting on the bottle or whatever substance it was for him? I don't think the substance has been determined yet anyway. But whatever it is, what are these players, coaches going through? Where are they at mentally? What are they thinking about on a daily basis? Are they feeling the pressure per se? Is it getting to them per se, right? So a lot of questions to be asked, man. But it just really sucks because, yeah, he can finish the preseason, but this is going to be lingering over his head. They're going to ask the question, will he be a problem? Will this be reoccurring here? So just more a spotlight on him, but the type of spotlight he don't want on him right now. But we'll see how he finishes the preseason game, see how he performs, and he better perform well for his sake. But you don't want to be in these situations, especially when you're on the brink of being cut. Now, Deshaun Jones has been on and off the roster for how many years now? Hell, 3, 4, or 2 or 3? I believe he got demoted, if you call it that, to the practice squad last year. So how long until he makes a major improvement or takes a major step? He's made some flashes in the preseason, but we need more. We still need more. And you definitely can't be making stupid ass mistakes like this. And once again, what was the substance? Who knows? It could just be a little THC, marijuana. And that's a whole different story right there. It's funny, right? Real funny. The NFL prescribes these guys pain pills, pain medicine, etc. Painkillers that are definitely not good for you. But they punish them for smoking THC or hemp or whatever to relax themselves, relax their muscles, mind, body, etc. Right? Now, whether you want to do marijuana or not, it's your choice. But the fact that they allow pain pills to be taken, prescribe prescriptions with the drugs we know that are horrible for your body, but they don't want to let a player smoke some marijuana because of THC, right? They rather them get addicted to pain pills potentially. Come on now. You just got to make it make sense. But once again, I don't know the exact substance. I'm going to get into the article. We'll see what it says. But all I'm saying is this, man. All I'm saying is this here. If you're an NFL player and they do smoke marijuana, it should not be a crime, man. As much as their bodies go through it, as much as their bodies get banged up on a week-to-week basis, but it's no problem with them drinking, unless they're drinking and driving, DWI. No problem taking certain medications that can ruin their body, ruin their mind, There's something to pay attention to, man. Here we go. Let's get to it. 1 second. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Deshaun Jones faces a 3-game suspension without pay for a violation of the NFL substance abuse policy. He is eligible to participate in the Vikings' remaining preseason activities and will begin his suspension on August 30th. Third-year wideout will be eligible for reinstatement on Monday, September 28th, the final day of Week 3. Due to a change to the substance abuse policy in 2024, the Vikings were not informed of the substance that caused the positive tests. All NFL players receive an annual test for the 7 types of drugs the league classifies as substances of abuse: cocaine, synthetic marijuana, amphetamines, opiates, opioids, PCP, and MDMA. Players who are entered into the substance abuse program can also be tested up to 10 times per month. Well, damn, they ain't playing with that right there, huh? Jones is in a battle to make the Vikings roster and likely stands on the outside looking in. Minnesota figures to carry only a modest number of options outside of superstar Justin Jefferson, returning number 2 weapon Jordan Addison, and offseason addition Jawan Jennings. If the Vikings cut Jones by the August 30th deadline, it will continue a trend. Jones has been on and off the roster since his arrival in 2024 as an undrafted free agent and served on the team's practice squad in both of his professional seasons. Jones has 1 career appearance, and it came in the final game of the 2025 regular season. He served as Minnesota's punt returner and handled 2 reps, one of which went for a 5-yard return. So once again, Deshaun Jones, kind of setting himself back. If we're just talking about as far as even in the eye of the coaches, batting the building. What up, brother? SKOL Vikes. Here we go, man. Let's get it. At this point, just time to hope Kyler lifts us to new heights in spite of the shenanigans and politics involved. Definitely, man. No doubt. Dante Fleming, number 29. So 19. Yeah. Shout out Dante Fleming. He's been having a pretty good camp. But the receiving room is definitely stacked with talent. EJ, did you look at the Vikings rivalry jersey? Not yet, man. I'm gonna take a look at it though for sure tonight, Holden. No doubt, brother. Here we go. Addison, one of the best in the NFL this year. Oh yeah. Addison finna ball out, man. I believe that. Addison may mess around, put up 1,500. Jettas get that 2,000. That would be lovely, right? But Addison is a great talent, man. Give me 1 second here. Make sure, man. Good. Boom. But Addison is definitely a great talent. I expect big things from him this year, man. Big things from him this year. I just got done with my fantasy draft. Good old fantasy draft, huh, Holden? Oh, man. Crazy work there, man. So what you got, Holden? What your draft looking like, brother? Here we go. So that's pretty much it for the Deshaun Jones news. Now I'm going to get into this presser from Flores. Then I got one more article after that. Then I'm going to get up out of here. 1 second here. Oh, got to get into some more practice notes as well. Oh, love. One second. Here we go.
All right. Good to see everyone. It's been a couple weeks since, I've talked to anyone here. We played 2 preseason games since practice against the Ravens. It's been a lot of good work from our group defensively. I would say a lot of improvement, a lot of growth, really in a lot of areas. Players, coaches. Obviously, we got a young group of rookies, and you're seeing growth and development from those guys as well. I think just an overall understanding of the system, roles, responsibilities, things that we must get done. I think guys are still really starting to get a feel for that. I think in game, both Ryan Nielsen and Mike Saravo, they've called really majority of They've split the 2 games preseason. I thought they've done a fantastic job. Obviously Ryan's done it before as a coordinator, and I think he'll eventually be a coordinator again. And Mike Saravo, I mean, if anybody likes anything that we're doing, he's somebody who knows, was here from the beginning and knows any and everything about what we're doing defensively. But overall, it's been a competitive camp. Guys are really working. Guys are improving. Guys are continuing to improve. We talk about standards and expectations in our room, and every day they're trying to meet those and exceed them. So really proud of the entire group. And I think but we're continuing to, just take it day by day and just try to improve a little bit.
Hold up. Is that facts? Is that facts fighting Irish Vikings? Is that positive right there? Are you sure Nudie got cut? Let me check it out. I'm not saying nothing in the news, saying nothing about it right now. Are you sure that's positive? I'm going to get into some practice notes as well. But is that a true story, fighting Irish? Is that a positive thing? Has McLaughlin really been cut? He says, yeah, let me see what's going down. Hold on. Let's see here. So we can find any news on it. Maybe he just couldn't make the cut after all, man. Wow. They did. Let's get into it, man. Why not? They really cut him. That's facts. Wow, they really cut him, man. That's what it is there. Crazy work, though. Thought he could make the team. Thought he could probably potentially make the cut, man. Here we go, man. Let's get back to it, though. 1 second. I'm gonna check it out after this.
Jacob Thomas, I'm just curious, what was your guys' process in the spring of kind of identifying him and bringing him in? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I mean, one of our scouts brought him to us. Really kind of scoured through the safety group. Michelle Mankoff. She's the one who kind of brought his name to us. We watched them. The JMU film was very good. They did a lot of things that were similar to the things we do. So
they're talking about Jacob Thomas from JMU, James Madison, the UDFA. Shout out to the scouting staff. But you talk about scheme and scheme fit, right? That's what it's about. You heard what Flores just said. Saw him on tape, watched the film. He did a lot of things. They ran a similar defense to what the Vikings do. So it's always about scheme fit at the end of the day. Does a player fit your scheme? Can he understand your scheme and then carry it out on the field? But Jacob Thomas making a name for himself. I believe Jacoby Thomas is back now, officially practicing again. So that's a positive. But Jacob Thomas, man, UDFA out of James Madison, making noise. That's what you want to do. It's what you have to do. Matter of fact, you're undrafted. You're trying to make the team, let alone get some PT. You got to go above and beyond sometime to make a name and separate yourself. And that's what he's doing. Shout out, kudos to him. And signed a player from the New York Giants. I'm going to dive into it, man. 1 second. QB Lamar Jackson and Bo Nix, running back Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irvin, Aaron Jones, wide receiver Drake London, Parker Washington, Matthew Golden, Jordan Addison, Tank Dell, tight end Trey McBride, and Jake Ferguson. Hey, that boy Holden ain't playing, ain't it? He ain't playing, man. I think he is injured. Who's injured? Who's injured? Shout out to Evil in the building. What up, brother? SKOL VIKES. He said McCarthy fell B-Flow too. Come on now. Here we go, man. Here we go, brother. Let's stop it. Let's stop the cap. Stop the nonsense. Come on with it. And Vikings defense and Will Riker, he will be back. JMU was in the college football playoff last year. Yeah, I believe they got smacked by Oregon, fighting Irish. But Jacob Thomas, definitely one of those guys stepping up and showing out. Got to continue to be consistent. That's a big thing for him. McLaughlin is on the injured reserve. Well, let's just get into it right quick after this B-Flow situation. We'll get back to it.
Kind of a max blitz, vision on the quarterback. He's a good tackler. He ran well. Chenzo spent a lot of time with him during the interview process. He's smart. And then he just came here and just improved and got better, day after day, and he's still improving. He's a sponge. I think football conceptually, comes pretty naturally to him. And I think, in this particular system, it's really more conceptual learning than, hey, I have to do this, because guys are in different spots and roles so much. He's done a really nice job. It's good to see him, take that, the things he's doing in practice into the game, but still very, very early. And but he's doing a lot of good things.
Brian, when you talk about development with the rookies, from Caleb Banks, game 1 to game 2, where have you seen kind of progress there or learning?
Yeah, when I think of all of the rookies, it's obviously the games are important. That's what everybody sees. But I'm looking at this, meeting to walk through the practice, to the habits that are being built, the routine we're seeing, start to evolve. Probably the best word. The routine that's starting to evolve, and I think he's seeing, hey, when I do this, this, and this, I get the results I'm looking for, and that's every rookie's that way. Game 1 to game 2, there were some good and bad in both games, and I would say that's the case. You mentioned Banks in particular, but that's the case for all of us. I think there's some things, just from a coaching standpoint, just our communication in between series that we got to correct. No different for the players. But Caleb's doing a real nice job. I think he's improving. The one thing about him is, he works, and it's important to him. He works. And in my experience, guys who work at it and, continually try to improve, they improve and develop. And so I think he and really the rest of the rookie group's doing a good job.
All about the process, man. Every day, grinding through the process,
First game we want to play where I think he kind of shot in the backfield, take a shot at Cam Scadaboo, kind of reading keys and saying, hey, there's a chance for me to take a shot here. With a young player, how do you go about that in terms of telling them you can take that chance? Is it something you tell them to do, or tell them, hey, find your spot to, take a shot?
Globally speaking, I there's an element of freedom that I want all players to have. But there's also this element of, hey, everybody's got a responsibility on each play, and let's take care of that, first and foremost. And I would say, guys who understand, that part, hey, I gotta set the edge, I gotta contain, I've gotta be middle push, I've got to keep my outside leverage. I've got to, play the sticks in the third down situation. You do those things over and over and over again. And then offensively, they get to feel like he's going to do this over and over and over again. Then you can jump inside every once in a while. And so, for a young player, does he really know whether or not he's, doing exactly what he needs to do, play after play after play, maybe not. And so that's part of the learning process, though. And I asked those guys to try, to jump inside, see if you can get there, or, take the edge, see if you can get there. But if you're by the quarterback, now you've learned that you probably shouldn't do that, or you jump inside and they get outside of you. Now you've learned, and it's like, it's like a little kid, with a hot stove. He doesn't know it burns until it burns.
Now I'm going to pause that right there right quick and dive into this Nudie situation. 1 second. All right, let's get to it. See what's exactly going on with Dwight McLaughlin. Vikings waive fan favorite cornerback, sign a new one. Vikings say goodbye to Dwight McLaughlin. McLaughlin is a tall and rangy corner with ample athleticism.
and showed enough ball skills to have a real shot in the NFL. Even if it was a long one, hopes were high that he could develop in the background for the Vikings, and he even made the team's initial 53-man roster in both seasons of his career thus far. Unfortunately, it just never came together, and the team waived him with an injury designation on Tuesday. Theoretically, he could still make the team's practice squad after roster cut down, so he could remain on the practice squad. You know, what you don't want to see as a Vikings fan is him go to another team and produce over there. Seen it with Chicago last year, number 25, tall, long, rangy cornerback. So you don't want to see him leave Minnesota and go ball out elsewhere. That was sub. Here we go. He has the knowledge of the system, and with his ability to sneak onto the team's 53-man roster multiple times in his career, he could be someone that the Vikings keep in their back pocket if another team doesn't scoop him up first. And I pretty much guarantee another team will scoop him up, you know. Here we go. The writing was on the wall for Dwight McGlothern. The acquisitions of James Pierre in free agency and Charles Demings in the draft painted a murky picture, as well as the rest of the Vikings. Several moves at the corner position. Names like Ze'Amaya Vaughn and Devon Armstead have had solid camps, and I've been very high on Ze'Amaya Vaughn as well. Another tall cornerback, you know, lanky, rangy, athletic, and are going to force the Vikings' hand to make some difficult decisions here in the next 2 weeks. Let's get to it. Vikings signed cornerback Trey Hawkins III in corresponding move. Interesting. In a corresponding move with the waiving of Dwight McGlothern, the Vikings replaced his spot with cornerback Trey Hawkins III. Hawkins was a 6th-round selection by the New York Giants in the 2023 NFL Draft. He stayed with the Giants through 2025 and was eventually released with an injury designation as part of the team's final roster cutdowns after the conclusion of the preseason. Hawkins would have to wait until November for his next shot at the pro game, signing on to the Washington Commanders practice squad. He would remain there for the rest of the 2025 season and signed as a reserve future contract in January. Washington waived him on August 2nd. On Tuesday, he signed a contract with your Minnesota Vikings. Hawkins played his college ball at Trinity Valley from 2018 to 19 before transferring to the wonderful institution that is Old Dominion University in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, not biased, to play from 20 to 22. During his 3 seasons with the ODU Monarchs, Hawkins racked up 134 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 12 pass breakups, 2 INTs, interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Hawkins himself now likely assumed the same likelihood to make the Vikings roster as McGlothern did, which is not a large on. Even though he's technically a replacement for McGlothern on the team, he might even have less of a chance. Unlike McGlothern, Hawkins doesn't know the defense. It's a very complicated one, and he's not going to learn all of it by the time final cutdowns are made. This move for Hawkins is likely just to get a look at him to see if he's someone they want to carry on their practice squad before they make any legitimate long-term investments. So pretty much a tryout for him, right, per se. Yeah, pretty much a tryout for, what's his name again? Yeah, Trey Hawkins III. So we'll pay attention to this story, pay attention to what's going on with Nudie, the Dwight McGlothern, just see how it goes. You hear me? Let's get back to Brian Flores. Let's get it.
And so, but that's what training camp's for. That's what preseason's for. And like I said, I kind of want them to go through those trials, for lack of a better term, and kind of see for themselves. And I'm telling him to do those things. Let's see what that looks like, see how that feels. Could we have made the play? Is there some other technique we could have used to make the play? If not, then, we got to, kind of fit into the scheme and somebody else will make it.
He said over the weekend that he needed to get in better shape and he would be running more gas routes. And he kind of has a funny way of talking, he jokes around a lot. So I'm not sure how serious he was being, but is that something you've seen, that he, conditioning, he doesn't play for most of last year and doesn't have all the OTAs and minicamp, that's something that is also to be worked on?
I think we as a team, no one's really ready to play in an NFL game yet. No one across the league. It's just there's no way to mimic 60 minutes of, the contact, the physicality, the stress, the score, all of it. There's no way to mimic it. So he's right that he's he may not feel like he's, in the best of condition, but I'm not sure he really even knows what that looks like, just like any other rookie. And there's no way, I don't blame him for that. It's something he's going to have to learn on the fly. He's gotten a little bit of a feel for it in these preseason games, what the first half looks like, what starting the third quarter looks like. And that's the same for, Orange, the same for Golday, it's the same for Chuck D, it's the same for Jacob Thomas. And so, again, with these rookies, it's, there's no way for them to, step in and think that they're going to, have the experience to really know what NFL football is like. But
certain things you learn in the NFL, they will learn in the NFL, will come with experience. Simple as that.
Say our group's doing a good job. Our coaches are doing a really good job of trying to get them prepared and as ready to go as we possibly can, knowing that we can't mimic what an NFL game is like. And so I think he's right to feel like, hey, I'm not where I need to be. And I don't think he'll really know until we're really in it.
Talked about Ty Ingram talking to him, but he was saying that he really loves his camp. He's making that adjustment to sometimes on the edge. What do you like most about what he's doing?
I like his approach to the game. I think he's really, there's a focus, there's an attention to detail, there's an urgency, whether he's, playing outside on the edge, whether he's inside, whether he's, playing, third down situations, early down. I think there's a focus, attention to detail, an urgency to get it right, to do it well, to do his job, to help the team in any way. I just think he's taken a big leap just from I hate to use the word maturity. Then we're going to say he was immature. That's not really what I'm saying, but just from a professional standpoint, from year one to year two. I was actually talking to his parents about it the other day. There's just this growth that. It's fun to see as a coach. That's what we're in this for. Those rookie years are sometimes they're tough for a number of reasons. A lot of it's not because of the football field. A lot of it's things that are going on outside. And I think he's done a fantastic job. And then the play on the field has been very good as well. He's somebody who's we're putting a lot on his plate, and he's just able to handle it and execute at a pretty good level. Certainly there are mistakes. When you're going from inside to outside, sometimes your mind is inside when you're outside, and your mind's outside when you're inside. So, our players who play a lot of roles, I oftentimes tell them, who are you? You got to know who you are. It's Metellus. You got to ask yourself, who am I? I'm the nickel. I'm the safety. I'm a linebacker. Now for Ty, it's, I'm an edge guy. I'm a 3 technique. I'm a 5 technique. And so it changes from play to play, but that takes reps and time as well. But he's doing a great job.
What have you made of the camp that Dallas Turner has had?
I think Dallas is, last week against the Ravens, against a really good player. I think he played well. I don't want to put it on just those two practices. I think he's, really since OTAs, there's a confidence that he's got.
Shout out Dallas Turner. Should be phenomenal, man. Very excited to see him play this year. Watch him grow, watch him progress, etc. I think he's going to be a real beast out there, a real machine out there as well. Here we go.
I think he knows, our expectations for him. I think he knows what he does well. I think he's trying to play to his strengths. Same as, kind of similar to the conversation as Ty. There's just a professionalism, a maturity, an urgency, a sense of urgency. He's doing a lot of good things. There's some leadership that's coming out. I like seeing that. In a lot of ways, he's taken Ty. They're really close. I like seeing their friendship. I don't want to say he's taking him under his wing because he's just a year older, and I think he might even be younger than Ty. I'm not sure, but they're really close, and oftentimes they're playing right next to each other, and so just that leadership aspect. And I think it's defensively, I want it to be a team of leaders. I think in your own role, you got to lead. At your position, and so we're seeing that out of Dallas. Obviously we got a long list of guys who kind of fit that bill. From Murph to Telly to Theo to Gink to Cash to Ewell. But it's nice to see some of our younger players kind of stepping into those roles as well.
What did you like about being able to drop Dominique into coverage?
Big Orange, Big Orange back there coverage. Now, one thing about Big Orange, Dominique Orange, Big Citrus, I love that dude. I love his play recognition at this level already. Even in the game last week, you saw him recognize plays. He may have missed the tackle or didn't make the play, but he recognized what was going on, and that's the major plus right there. Understanding what he's seeing, and he's only going to continue to get better with that play recognition in general. As he matures, as the game slows down for him, he really figures out what's going on a play-to-play basis. But his play recognition at his age and his rookie season is very impressive. Here we go.
Again, I didn't call that, so but it was I liked his celebration the most. I tell our guys, you make a play, it's hard to make plays in the National Football League, so celebrate. Obviously you got to get back in the huddle before the 40 seconds is up, but I want him to celebrate. I want him to have fun out there. I think for a guy his size, he's pretty athletic, and so he showed that getting into a little bit of space. If he went away a little bit flatter, he might have been, be able to get his hands on it a little bit better. And then we got a real celebration. But the whole straps, celebration, I like that. And so, but yeah, I mean,
have fun out there. Have fun out there. Here we go.
From a versatility standpoint, that's not something we want him doing, a lot. But every once in a while, you stick one in there, see if. We can kind of change the look on the quarterback, on the receivers, on the offensive line. I think it's good to do that every once in a while.
Down and Theo now nursing an injury. I'm just curious how you feel about your safety depth at this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was, disappointing is not the word. It's Jamal came in and really kind of, he made an immediate impact that it's kind of hard to put into words for a guy who was here for such a short period of time. Just from my initial meeting, and during the conditioning test, and really obviously the workout, but really kind of spending some time with him during the conditioning test. Just his love for the game, his passion for the game, his football acumen, and then on the field his playmaking ability, his energy. He brought a lot to, our unit, the experience, the bringing young guys along. I mean, immediately, he's with Orange and Banks and saying, hey, you guys got to be here in the morning to do X, Y, Z, just to kind of get on a routine. So, he's missed, already, which is, it's kind of weird to say that for somebody who wasn't, with us that long. He was just fantastic for us. And, I was already starting to, he had made a few moves, safety, some big nickels, some linebackers. So we're putting some packages together that, we've got to save those for someone else now. If it's appropriate. But as far as the safety room, between.
So I guess Theo Jackson went down in joint practice versus the Ravens. So who will step up now? Theo Jackson, him being injured, that gives more room for Jacob Thomas and Jacoby Thomas, who is back practicing now, to step up and show out. You know, who's the next man up per se. Hopefully Theo Jackson isn't out that long. You know, he returns pretty soon, but now it's time for the young guys, the other young veterans, the Jay Wards, to step up and show out as well. You know, show what you can do right now. Here we go.
Ellie and Theo, you know, Jacob, Jacoby, got him back this week. You know, we'll see where it is. We're comfortable with that group. Obviously, we've had a lot of snaps out of.
Did Thomas flash in the playoff game against Oregon? I didn't watch that game, brother. I ain't gonna lie to you. You hear? He might have flashed. He might not have. I know Oregon beat him down pretty bad, though. You hear me? Let's go.
Theo and Telly, and I'm sorry, Jay Ward. I always forget Jay Ward. I don't always forget Jay Ward, but I think of him as like a nickel. He's done a great job. He's had a fantastic camp as well. So I think we've got depth. You know, it's a young group after Telly and Theo, and I think our guys are really doing well. And so, excited for that group. Excited to see what they can do. They've each got different skill sets that we'll try to, you know, play to their strengths. And I think they're all doing well.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, boom, that's it for Flores and his presser. Now I'm going to get into another article right quick. Give me 1 second. This whole QB2 situation, we're going to break it down right now. You know, I said last week, KOC has been full of shit just from the original QB competition with Murray and McCarthy up and even till now, till last week, taking McCarthy out the game after a quarter. Some may say, oh, it was because he was banged up, injured. No, guess what? He was coming out any damn way, whether he was injured or not. But seems like they're splitting reps again. You understand me? Splitting reps again. So we're going to see what happened today in practice. Let's just dive into it right now. Give me 1 second here. But once again, shows you KOC has not been legit with anything he has been saying about really anything when it pertains to the Vikings per se, especially the quarterback situation, right? Right. Let's get into it here. 1 second, let's get it. So, boom. Vikings news. Minnesota makes eye-opening backup QB practice decision. Vikings news, Minnesota, boom, boom. J.J. McCarthy's fall down the Minnesota Vikings quarterback depth chart may not be over yet. Pay attention, pay close attention right here. You hear me? ESPN's Kevin Seifert reported that McCarthy and veteran Carson Wentz split second-team reps during a relatively brief 80-minute Vikings practice. One practice does not determine Minnesota's backup quarterback, but the distribution of reps is an interesting development for McCarthy. Once again, the whole QB2 bullshit. So you telling me now he has to compete with Wentz for a QB2 spot, which is crazy, baby, for real. You know, we all heard KOC say McCarthy is the definite QB2. Now the reps are being split. We saw him split reps with Murray. Matter of fact, Murray get more reps than him. Now they're splitting reps 50-50 this week. So that whole McCarthy is the QB2 has been bullshit as well. Which the point was proven. What was going on, what's been going on, why exactly McCarthy should demand a trade and request to be traded right now. You know? Come on now. I thought he was the main man for the 2 spot. Now it's something different now? All right, bad. Herm in the building. Herm Williams in the building. What up, brother? SKOL Vikes. Let's get it, man. You say, what you think about defensive line Elijah Williams? I think he's good. Big body. Still can improve, of course, but yeah, took a step up this year. We'll see what he does, man. But I like Elijah Williams a lot, especially as a depth chart guy, rotation player, whatever. on the depth chart I like him, keep him, etc. Shout out Herm in the building once again. Here we go. EJ, I think our QB coach ain't helping. JJ McCarthy too. Yeah, it's a lot of problems going on right now. Holden, you hear me? Like I've been saying, I ain't gonna dwell on it again. But JJ McCarthy has gotten the short end of the stick the whole time he's been a Viking. Period. Let's get back to it. The former Michigan star entered the NFL as a first-round pick with hopes of becoming Minnesota's long-term answer at quarterback. 2 years later, his career appears to be trending in the wrong direction. McCarthy has already lost the starting job to Kyler Murray. Now, instead of receiving the majority of the second-team work, he is sharing those opportunities with Wentz. And my point right there, once again, if McCarthy is definitely your QB2 and it's about seeing him grow and progress, why the hell would he be splitting QB2 reps with Carson Wentz? Because KOC is a pure liar. That's why. And it's really not about McCarthy getting extra reps, gaining more experience, really being your QB2. No. You know? It's about KOC trying to find another quarterback potentially to replace him. It's damn near grotesque what KOC has done to McCarthy and his career before his career has even started. We go. Say, I get KOC, but blame some on our QB coach too. I mean, I understand it, but KOC is the one pulling the buttons, calling the shots at the end of the day. Holden, you hear me, brother? No doubt. Him and McCown listens to him, right? But in this situation, I just listen to options. I dig it, man. Let's get back to it. Let's go. This does not necessarily mean Wentz has officially passed McCarthy on the depth chart. Minnesota could simply be evaluating both quarterbacks or helping Wentz become more comfortable in the offense. It would be unfair to draw a firm conclusion from one abbreviated practice in August. Still, the Vikings' decision is worth monitoring. If McCarthy were firmly established as Murray's primary backup, there would seemingly be little reason to divide the second team work evenly. Exactly. The second team work, all the snaps would go to McCarthy, just like the game last week. If he's your true two, why isn't he playing a full half? Here we go. Giving Wentz those snaps suggests the veteran has at least entered the competition for the number 2 role. McCarthy does have an undisclosed injury from last week's preseason game where he did not play well. And here we go with the did not play well. I asked this dude here, did he even watch the game? Wentz experience could give him an advantage if the Vikings need someone to replace Murray during the regular season. He has started 94 NFL games and would likely be viewed as the safer short-term option if Minnesota believes it can contend immediately. McCarthy still has time to change the conversation, but his margin for error is shrinking. Wow. Ridiculous, man. Losing the QB1 job was already a major setback. Falling behind Wentz would leave the former first-round pick entering the season as Minnesota's 3rd quarterback. Second. One practice is not enough to declare that competition over. It may, however, be the first real sign that McCarthy's place on the depth chart is less secure than expected. And the fiasco continues, right, brother? The fiasco continues, man. Here we go. JJM needs to chill and play the game. Rich Gannon sat longer behind worse QBs in Minneapolis. Well, it's not about that, fighting Irish, you know? It's about if he's your QB2, make it official. Give him the reps. Watch him grow. Let him grow, right? Don't sit up there and lie about it. If McCarthy works hard, he might be QB8. You're funny, man. You're funny. Come on, Too Evil. You're funny, brother. You're too funny, man. You hear me, brother? He wildin', he wildin'. He wildin', man. But it's not about that. It's about KOC saying JJ McCarthy is the 2, but not acting like he's your 2. Because if a quarterback is your QB2 for sure, he's playing a full half. Then you divvy up the reps between Wentz and Brosmer per se in the second half. But you don't take out your number 2 quarterback after 1 quarter when he's just getting into the groove, when the O-line just getting warmed up. You know, offense, the game is about rhythm. He had no chance to even get into rhythm. Who is your favorite defensive player, EJ? Man, good question right there. Let me think about it, man. Hold up. Favorite right now defensively. Let's see here. I guess we haven't seen the rookies really in regular season action, but definitely like some of the rookies. But as far as vets go who've been in the building, like Blake Cashman. Oh yeah, Blake Cashman for sure, man. Dallas Turner, of course. Might be my top 2 right there. We go. None of these so-called experts watch the game. Yep, you're right. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, brother. Say I like Turner. Oh yeah, Turner's a dog. Turner's a real dog, Too Evil. And he gonna really show it this year. This is the year that Turner explodes, in my opinion. Takes it to that next level, man. Talking Pro Bowl, elite, all that, right? Men lie, women lie, but numbers are what it is. Sometimes, right? Sometimes, fighting Irish. I think it depends on the situation, definitely. You know, sometimes numbers can be inflated, numbers can be stretched, right? Numbers can be paid for, etc. Just depends on the circumstances. So let's see, right? Hold up. Now I'm gonna just get into some more practice notes before I get up out of here, like what's going on, etc. So rookie safety Jacoby Thomas returned to full team drills. That's great news. Wow, quarterback Carson Wentz took more snaps than JJ McCarthy, and outside linebacker Chaz Chambliss appears headed for a new role. Let's see what's up here. Observations from practice. This might be yesterday's one, though. Matter of fact, I don't even know if they practiced today. Believe they did, but not sure. Here we go. The dog days of the preseason are upon us. Not a lot to write about, but here's what we took away from today's practice. And pretty much a slow time right now will be a slow time until the first game, especially after the preseason game is over with, you know. Then it's just all about preparing, locking in for Green Bay. Turn them boys to Swiss cheese, right? Swiss cheese, man. We go. Hold up 1 second. See, linebacker Chaz Chambliss took a rep at fullback during joint practices with the Ravens. Well, he switched to number 40, which would indicate there's some steam there. The NFL has limitations around which jersey numbers can be worn at certain positions, and Chambliss number 57 is not among eligible numbers for running backs. Rookie safety Jacoby Thomas back, worked into 7-on-7s today. That's great news for him, and played with the first stringers for at least a snap. Rookie offensive tackle Caleb Tiernan ankle was seen in street clothes watching some of the early part of practice. He had a sleeve on his left lower leg. We did not see safety Theo Jackson, who was injured in Thursday's joint practice with the Ravens, or cornerback Dwight McGlothern. Well, we know they waived McGlothern. We go. After getting banged up Saturday, JJ McCarthy did participate in practice, but we only saw him for a few reps during 11-on-11s. There was a lot more of Carson Wentz today that could have to do with whatever the Vikings game plan is at QB for Friday night's preseason finale at the Denver Broncos. We'll hear from head coach Kevin O'Connell prior to Wednesday's practice. There was a little bit of a tussle between safety Jay Ward and right guard Will Fries during practice that was broken up quickly. Hey man, nothing wrong with a with a tussle at all, right? Right, here we go. So I pretty much covered everything. I believe it may be full padded tomorrow, right? You know, the Vikings 53-man roster needs to be finalized by 5 p.m. on Sunday. So the countdown is here. The deadline is approaching. That doesn't mean there's a whole lot of time for guys to state their case, to stick around. Who would make the 53 as things stand now? See what this projection is, though. Quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, McCarthy, and Wentz. They say Max Brosmer waived. Running backs, Aaron Jones, Sr., Jordan Mason, Damon Claiborne, Max Bredesen. They waive Xavier Scott and Jamar Jefferson. Wide receivers, they keep 5. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jawan Jennings, Ty Felton, Miles Price. Wow, waived. Deshaun Jones, Dante Fleming, Dylan Bell, Terrell Davis, Michael Briscoe, Trayvon Rudolph, Marcus Sanders Jr. Interesting cut there. Let's see. Tight ends, Hawkinson, Oliver, and Ben Urasek. Offensive linemen, Kristen Derisaw, Donovan Jackson, Blake Brandell, Will Fries, Brian O'Neill, Ryan Vandermark, Michael Juergens, Joe Huber, Caleb Tiernan, Gavin Gerhardt. Defensive line, outside linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, Bo Richter, Tyler Batty, Chaz Chambliss, outside linebacker / D tackle, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Jalen Redmond, Caleb Banks, Big Game Banks, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Dominique Orange, and Isaiah Loudermilk. So they say their Vikings are going to waive Elijah Williams, Taki Tamani, Eric Johnson II, Javare Ritzy, Smith Vilbert, Cameron Ron Stewart, Arden Walker. And this is just projections right now, nothing solidified. Let's see, inside linebackers, keep Blake Cashman, Eric Wilson, Ivan Pace Jr., Jake Golday, waived Bengali Kamara, Jacob Roberts, Josh Ross. Defensive back 10, Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rogers, James Pierre, Charles Demings, Josh Metellus, Jay Ward, Theo Jackson, Jacoby Thomas, Tavier Thomas, and Jacob Thomas. So they have UDFA, Jacob Thomas from James Madison making the cut. Waived will be Zehemiah Vaughn. Well, damn. Khalif Halasse, Dwight McLaughlin, Marcus Allen, Tyreek Chappell, Devon Armstead, Jared Washington. Here we go. Injured safety linebacker Jamal Adams. Metellus, Ward, and Jackson have been the top 3 safeties when healthy this offseason. Adams, the 10th-year veteran, suffered a season-ending knee injury against the Giants. Does that open the door for a third? Thomas Jacob, who went undrafted out of James Madison to make the roster. He intercepted a floater in New York and had 4 tackles, including 1 in punt coverage. If Thomas can earn trust on defense and contribute on special teams, there's a path for him. Specialist kicker, of course, Will Riker, Roll Tide full of pride, Johnny Hecker, Andrew DePaula. And that's pretty much it for the projected 53-man roster. Once again, nothing set in stone. Let's see here. So you talk about the Vikings rookie class as a whole. You ask me, I feel like they performed very well in preseason, training camp, etc. We go. Hold on. He said, now that is so news. Chambliss at fullback, maybe the best roster move of the year. Damn, fight. That's how you feel, fight? Okay. Chambliss is pronounced Chambly, by the way. Okay. Chain Bliss. Okay. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, right? Here we go. You say, why so many offensive linemen? Hell, we need it. Shit, the way this line was banged up last year, shit, decimated. You need them, man. And we need them big boys up front just in case. Yeah, you know it. I know it. You hear me? For sure. Now, let's see. Posting, boom, boom. Safety Jacoby Thomas, the rookie third-round pick out of Miami, returned to full team drills Monday after missing a chunk of training camp due to a back injury. Been super precautionary the past 2 weeks, Thomas said, but now the chain is off and I get to go be the ball player that I am. So great news for Jacoby Thomas, man. Back in action. Can't wait to see him in action, of course. But injuries suck. You know, injuries suck. And I don't think many situations where they are a positive thing or affect a player in a positive way. Here we go. Boom. Thomas took some first-team reps next to safety Joshua Metellus. The Vikings could use options at safety. The team practiced without starting safety Theo Jackson, presumably due to the undisclosed injury he suffered last week in a joint practice with the Ravens. Safety Jamal Adams also suffered a season-ending quad injury in the Vikings preseason opener against the Giants. Undrafted safety Jacob Thomas continued to get some first-team snaps at Monday's practice as well. Thomas said he expects to make his preseason debut during Friday's finale in Denver. Yeah, let's get it. Let's see him. Let's see him. You hear me? SKOL VIKES. The 23-year-old rookie wants to show he can be trusted to contribute, that my teammates and Coach Brian Flores and the entire defensive staff can trust that I can go out and do my job at a high level. Thomas said, just be me, be the guy that they drafted. Yeah, big facts, no cap, you hear me? Me personally, I can't wait to see him play on Friday night. Finally get a glimpse of the young boy, the young warrior, young lion, etc. Everyone is going to say the lines suck anyway. Oh, you know it. You know it, man. He said, EJ, I don't trust some of them big boys. Who that be holding? Who that be, brother? For real. Here we go. Who played backup like that tackle last game against Ravens? Yeah, I understand why. Your second string, your third string look horrible versus the Ravens. Got beat up. McCarthy got beat up versus the Ravens. I do not trust this third string at all. Of course, then some of the players on the second string as well. What we saw versus the Ravens was not good majority of the game. Right? But once again, great news for Jacoby Thomas. Get to see him play on Friday. So that's a positive right there, no cap. KOC has planned to do over from KO has planned a do-over from when we brought in Sam in draft JJ. His plan is to hope Collar plays well enough to get an extension and draft a QB in 27 to sit behind Collar for a few years. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but hey, could be a plan, right, Bat? Who knows what KOC doing at this point, bro? You know, KOC pretty much saying what the hell he want to, right now. Pretty much got to wait and see. He said, yeah, I get that, but the tackle give me, oh, man. It was definitely bad, bro. Definitely bad, right? No doubt. I'm finna get up out of here, man. With that being said, once again, could care less about the coaches. Of course, you want to see the coaches. You wish them well, want to see them do their best, but it's about the players right now and seeing them boys win. That's what it's about at the end of the day. Shout out to my big dogs, my Levy dogs, my subscribers and supporters. You are much appreciated for life. Never forget it. Hey, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and hit that bell as well. Share this with any and everybody you know for sure. Takes less than 1 second. Support the grind, support the channel. Why not? Big Skol here, Skol Vikes, win, lose, or draw, but we come to win. Down at the levee, we going fishing at the levee. Skol Vikes, we run the north. Here we come.